Hello everybody. Thank you for joining me yet again for Living Figuratively, the TV show. I'm calling it a TV show. The TV show that asks the question, why not fill your home with the fascinating faces and figures of people you don't even know? Why not fill your home with figurative art? Today I'm welcoming you into my studio to talk about my ephemera paintings. And the reason that we're in here is because I can hang all three of them together. These are my ephemera paintings. And for those of you who don't know what ephemera is, I will tell you the definition is something like something fleeting, printed matter that is meant to be thrown away, that is meant to be, sort of one-time usage and thrown away. And in my case, sometimes it's easy to throw away, and other times it's very hard to throw away. If you remember, if you tuned in last week, I talked about my Serenity Prayer paintings, which were done in during the time when my parents were passing away. And that's when my mantra became the Serenity Prayer. After they passed away, and my sister and I were faced with all they left behind, our new mantra kind of became, enough is enough, this is ephemera. And so basically, after they passed away, we set up on the almost 1 year process of cleaning out their house of everything that they had accumulated over the past 50 years. They never had moved into assisted living. They never moved from their house since 1966. So there was a lot of stuff there. Boxes like this, there were literally hundreds of boxes like this, full of, my dad was a math professor who had mountains and mountains and mountains of these beautiful technical mathematical writings. They're practically unreadable except for, some of the words. Ramsey's theorem, I'm assuming somebody knows what that is out there maybe. I didn't, but for me, just the beauty of how he wrote, and he never crossed anything out. Like he was just thinking of these things and he just kept on writing them without crossing anything out, and it was all in pen. And this, beautiful teeny tiny handwriting, the Mobius function, whatever that is, with like things like this, with all these sigmas and like mathematical writing. He was a pioneer of queuing theory. Look him up. He's on Wikipedia. His name is Judy Takacs, and so we had mountains and mountains of his beautiful handwriting, literally hundreds of boxes like this. My mom, on the other hand, was a English literature professor, and she had mountains and mountains boxes, these file boxes, bigger file boxes, bigger filing cabinets, boxes and boxes of books and journals. The journals were amazing, and those I did not consider to be ephemera. The journals I kept intact. But she had all these lecture notes with like gorgeous little, you just sort of can randomly pull out something and read a little phrase that she wrote down that she used as part of a lecture. This one right here was just sort of a fun one. Satire is a sort of a mirror. This was written by Jonathan Swift, who wrote Gulliver's Travels, and he was a big satirist. And he said, satire is sort of a mirror, he called it a glass, where the beholder do generally discover everybody's face but their own, which is the chief reason that so very few are offended by it. So basically that's the value of satire, because everybody recognizes everybody else's foibles without recognizing their own, so they have fun with it. But just like little gems like that. So the mountains and mountains of those little gems. We tried very, very hard with all the stuff in their house to pay it forward into to places or institutions or people that would use them. The various things. One of the things we did, we donated a lot of their furniture, and tchotchkes and stuff like that to the Cleveland Playhouse prop department. Apparently they have a really big prop department, and one of the fun things is every once in a while I see a piece of my parents' furniture when I go see a play, which is really cool to, like things take on a life of their own. With all the ephemera and papers and stuff, we were able to donate some of it to the various institutions that my parents worked at, and they have kept it as part of their archives, and have kept some of it ourselves, but much of it had to be thrown away. But some of it was just so beautiful, and the handwriting, the ancient, not even ancient, like handwriting from the past, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, it really is a record of how people used to converse and everything. And so I kept all kinds of little bits of the handwriting with the intention of making them be ephemera, because I thought that if I used them and incorporated them into art, it takes on another life and it lives forever, and I can go and look at it, because how often am I going to go into this filing cabinet and look at stuff? But if it's in a painting and incorporated into that, it has its own sort of specialness. One of the things that I did was do these ephemera paintings, where I actually took little pieces of their handwriting and tore them into little butterfly shapes, because I actually felt like the ephemera collector, where the ephemera collector has to basically look at all this stuff, value it, decide if it's valuable, keep it, guard it, or give it away and let it, fly off into the wind. And that's how I felt about all the papers and the little handwriting and these little precious bits and pieces that my parents left me. When I started to conceive these paintings, I found I didn't want to do it as a self-portrait, because I do a lot of self-portraits, and I thought just enough is enough with the self-portraits. I found my model, who was actually literally right under my nose. She was somebody that I knew from the school, and I asked her if she would pose for me, and she said, sure, yeah, she thought she would. I chose her because she looked kind of, to me, like sort of an angel for the ages. She had kind of this iconic look to me. The day that she came to pose, she actually had just come from the ophthalmologist, and so her eyes were dilated, which is why she has sort of this very intense, blue-eyed, gorgeous look in these paintings, because her eyes are dilated. And I thought that was an interesting twist to it too. What I did when I posed her, when I had her come for the poses, I had her pose with these antique butterfly nets that I had collected at an antique store maybe a few months earlier, without having really an intention for them. But I thought, these are cool looking and a concept will come. And sure enough, the concept came. I loved painting these things. I would love to think of another concept that would give me an excuse to use them again, and maybe I will. But I loved painting them because the twists and folds of the fabric and the sort of the little bit of transparency and a little bit of the opacity, it really just went along with the kind of brushstrokes that I like to make. I love the opacity at the bottom, because I guess that's where, when you catch the bugs go to the bottom, and they're more, it's more meshy down there on the bottom. So these three paintings, because one of the things I do is, like, when I get a good concept, I like to have fun with it, and so I do several paintings from it, and I did a triptych with it. The three paintings actually have never been shown together. In fact, this is the first time that they're ever even seen together, because I don't really have a wall where I can hang all three of them together without taking down other paintings. I've got, a lot of paintings up. But they've been shown separately, and that's one of the things with my triptychs, is that the pieces can function by themselves, or they can function with each other. This one right here, which is Ephemeral Defender, has gone to the Manifest Gallery down in Cincinnati as part of their In Memoriam show, which was all about remembering things that have passed. This one here on the end, which is called Ephemeral Whisper, went to the National Arts Club in New York as part of the Catherine Lorillard Wolfe show a couple of years ago, and so that's a very cool place to show if you ever get a chance to go down there. The central one, which is called Ephemera Collector, has a really pretty good provenance list. She won second place at the Mandel J Show a couple years ago. She won Best in Show at the 73rd Ohio Annual, which is at the Zanesville Museum of Art every year. And she was also won grand prize in the All Media competition for Artists Magazine, and she appeared in the September 2018 issue for that. So she's got a very long, good resume. For those of you that don't know, the word provenance is basically the resume of a painting. So the more awards the painting has, the more places it's shown, the more experience it has had, and the more it's been out there in the world, it adds to its value. So that's one of the things that as a collector you want to be looking at. Sometimes you get a painting fresh off the easel and you're the first one to get it, and it doesn't have that experience, and that's got its own beauty to it too. But having this lengthy, nice resume is a positive thing. All three of these paintings are available. The two on the ends are available through my website, judytakacs.com. The one in the middle is available because of its sort of longer provenance list through 33 Contemporary Gallery on artsy.net. But all the information is on my online shop on my website. And each one of these can be produced as a half-size giclée, which, if you remember from last week, is a small, high-quality print on archival paper. It would be basically half-size, each one of those. And each the giclées would be $195, signed, rolled, and shipped to you wherever you are in the continental United States. And as I told you last week, right now during these scary Corona times, all of my art sales, 50% of them will be paid forward into the struggling art community, whether it's to models who have lost modeling gigs, whether it's to artisans whose art fairs and shows have been canceled. I'm going to put in a little plug for Kim Matee, who is my favorite jewelry designer. She is actually having a virtual trunk show because her real life trunk show, which was scheduled last week, is not able to happen. So she's having a virtual trunk show with B Gallery on April 30th, and I will tell you more about that as it gets closer, but be watching for it because she's an awesome artist. So 50% of any of my sales will be paid forward into the art community. And thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, on Facebook Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And next week I will be talking about one of my decorating concepts with figurative art, which is called The Wall Full of Small. See you later.